Follow these steps for a perfect roasted tenderloin and you'll stay a cut above the rest. I went to our local butcher and I got this beautiful 2.5 pound center cut tenderloin. I urge you, if there's one thing you take from this video, it's lean on your local butchers. They have incredibly high quality meat and they have wonderful pricing, and it allows us to do things like this without breaking the bank. The first step in preparing your tenderloin is letting it come a little closer to room temperature. So we had our roast here sitting out for about 45 minutes just to increase that temperature. That'll help so that when we get onto the smoker, we won't be shocking the outside of the tenderloin and we'll get a nice even cooking process. And once we've come up in temperature a little bit, it's time to truss our roast. Trussing the roast is a process where we tie up the roast to keep it all together and keep it more uniform in shape. And uniform shape gives us more even cooking. So we're going to start with our butcher's twine here. And the first knot here, about 1.5 inches in, is just going to be a basic double knot, if you will. Wrap it around a few times so that when you get here it won't slip. And then pass through again. And that is our base. And now we're going to create loops and start sliding them on the roast about 2 inches apart, just like that. And we will continue our way down the roast. I'm going to do a loop and then onto the roast. And each time you go down, kind of give the previous one a little bit of a tug, and then you can kind of work your twine back and forth to get even tension throughout. We want to keep it in certain areas a little tighter to keep it more uniform. You can see when we get down here, that is very thin, so we want to bring that together so it's a more uniform shape and size. And this is going to cook much more evenly for us. So at the end here, we're just going to tie another knot so that this doesn't come undone. There we go. That's better. And you can cut off the excess. And now we have a beautifully trussed, more evenly shaped roast. And the reason we want to do this, again, the even cooking means we won't have any areas that are mid-well versus the center that's going to be mid-rare. It'll all hopefully be around that mid-rare temperature that we're really looking for. We're going to use a little bit of olive oil as a binder for our seasoning. We really don't need that much. Just rub it in on all sides. And that should do it. I chose our BBQ General SPG, which is a blend of salt, pepper, garlic, which is really classic for red meat. It's got a few other secret spices in there to really bring out those beef flavors, and this is going to play really nicely for our roast. Nice and generous. And once again, at this point, I'm going to let it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes to really adhere that seasoning onto the meat. I'm also going to stick some fresh herbs under the truss to kind of get those pressed up against the meat and hopefully draw in some of those flavors as well. Just building that flavor profile. I have a 250-degree smoker outside, all ready to go. Our roast is ready to go on, so I have a rack-lined tray, and then I'm going to be using a Bluetooth meat probe. Keeping track of the temperature while our roast cooks is going to be crucial. We want to bring it up to about 120 degrees before we sear it off. I'm going to put the probe in the thickest part of our roast, which is right about there. And I'm going to get our cook set up on our Bluetooth app before we head outside. We'll set our roast on the rack and we're ready to hit the smoker. The The Meter Plus let me know that we hit 120 degrees internal temperature, so we're going to remove that and we're going to move right into our sear process. I have a preheated cast iron pan and I'm going to be using a little bit of oil as well as some butter. And then I'm going to toss in some aromatics in the form of fresh thyme and rosemary, as well as some fresh garlic as well, to really build those flavors as we sear. We'll start with some olive oil, good quality, and we're going to go right in with our roast. We want this nice and high heat so we get a really good caramelized sear on the outside of our meat. We're going to go for about 2 minutes on each side, just to crisp up the outside of the meat, because we don't want to continue cooking the inside too much longer. And now I'm going to go in with our butter and our aromatics. Our garlic, fresh thyme, and some fresh rosemary. We start to baste. Infusing all those flavors, adding a little bit more fat flavor from the butter. Give it a turn. Continue to baste. Last turn. Continue to baste. We're getting some wonderful color on this roast. I think we're adding some really nice flavors too. It smells wonderful. All right. Now, one of the great things about a reverse sear is you don't need to let your meat rest. The process helps keep those juices in, and you won't lose much when we end up slicing in the end. So all we have to do is remove the string, the truss that we put on before, and we'll be ready to slice. Moment of truth, let's see how we did. And that is absolutely gorgeous. So we can slice this nice and thin. And now I'm going to try this. It's incredibly tender. It smells buttery, the herbs. A roasted tenderloin is a great holiday meal or for any other special occasion you can think of. If you like this video, head to psseasoning.com for more. You can also check us out on all forms of social media. And if you like this video, click subscribe. Until next time, I'm Chef Jed. Thanks for watching.